Beat. 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 It was sending like scratch practice. Scratch practice. Scratch practice. Beat.
What's up, everybody? I'm Gaby. I go by Gucci or Gabs. I'm so happy to be back. You know, we're season 2 Shit Talks, and we're back and we're better. We're doing things completely different, but so much more exciting. You know, in the past, we've had artists, politicians, creatives, organizers, just amazing people from the city come and talk to us, come and talk some shit with us. And so this time, we're going to expand the love and bring some more people to talk about topics that are important to us. And so today we're going to be talking about cannabis and the different forms and, in which we engage with cannabis and the benefits of it. And so we have some amazing guests today. And so I'm going to pass it over to introduce themselves and tell us a little bit about, who you are and what's your creative medium, your pronouns. Again, I'm Gaby, I use she, her. I'm a creative and an organizer from Chicago. And I'm going to pass it over here to my right, my left. Yay.
Yeah, it's cool. Hey y'all, I go by Tano Daytona. I'm an audio artist, cannabis progressionist, and I just personally believe in the way art can heal. The bridges between art and music and cannabis. Honestly, it's such a wide plant to draw from and use that. I'll just say that for later. Honestly, I'm gonna just pass it off to bro. I'm Tano Daytona, he, him, audio artist, so.
What you do? It's NASA, baby. So, hey, man. So I have my own. He, him. I have my own TV show. I basically promote for my TV show local artists, just like she's putting artists on her show. So yeah. So we're doing the same thing. I also record music. Studio editor. Engineer, the whole 9 yards, the whole time. So that's me, NASA. Nice to meet y'all.
What's up, y'all? I'm Jean. I also go by Jean and Jane. I am a yoga teacher. I also guide meditation classes. I produce all kinds of events that bring people together in community to move through our bodies. I think especially as people of color, we don't necessarily have a lot of access to those spaces where you can feel like you can be in your body and also consciously consume weed. And so I'm a lover of weed. I am a board member at Cannabis Equity Coalition. I'm also part of other collectives that really center around healing justice.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for being here. And thank you so much, everyone, for watching. I'm so excited to get this conversation started. And, like we mentioned, all of us here, we're familiar with cannabis in one form or another. And I just want everyone to, maybe tell us a little bit about, how you're involved with cannabis and how that takes part in, your life and in your work. Jean, would you like to start?
Sure. Also, I'm she, her, they, them pronouns. I founded Movements in Medicine, which is a wellness platform and a conscious community of people that center themselves, going through their healing journey, and often we pair movements and meditation with weed. It's called getting high for a reason. So I like to think of it as a way, as a tool to access different parts of our body, our consciousness, that, in the everyday world, anxiety, fear, and the real, institutionalized everything, we feel that in our bodies, and sometimes we don't necessarily understand why. And so I like to use ganja as a way to turn off different parts of our brain and turn on other ones. Same thing with your body. So I like to, mindfully medicate and then meditate. I like to, I think a lot of us too, spend a lot of time up here in our minds, just thinking. And so different movement practices And it could be dance, it could be martial arts, it could be yoga, it could be, producing music, anything that brings you closer to like your body and your spirit and your soul. I think weed can help you do that. So I make events that help to create space for people to really discover that and how to create a better relationship with themselves, a more loving, kind relationship with themselves through this plant.
How about you? What's your relationship?
So my relationship with Mr. Cannabis is we are great friends. So like, just to start it off, like I actually, I really wasn't smoking weed. Like I thought weed was low key bad, and because I used to play basketball and I was like really serious about it, and like low key like weed would help you with basketball just to like calm your anxiety down during a game, but it would also just like. You know what I mean? So it was like, you feel me? It was a double-edged sword that I had to like literally go through. So I'm like, okay, but then like I had like a serious event happen to me where weed actually was helping me out. So I got shot. That really helped me with my like injury, and I was injured for like a year and a half. So like weed really just helped me out, just like mellowed me out. And then I like literally like took my talents to South Beach, and then I instantly went from basketball to music, music stuff, production, TV show stuff, like just doing like, just like stuff where it's like it controls my anxiety, but at the same time it also like it slows me down to make me think. So like I'll be thinking a mile a minute because that's just how I am. I think a lot. Like I got plan A, B, C, D, E, F, G, but then like I'll do it so fast. Well, if I smoke weed, like, it's like A, B, C, and D. You feel me? Like that's just how it is with like
to have
alcohol.
Like truckloads of weed to be able to overdose on weed. So weed is one of the safest substances ever created by God.
They actually say you would pass out from carbon dioxide poisoning before you even actually OD on THC.
Yes.
So, like by the time you smoke enough to actually OD off weed, you're asleep from carbon monoxide or dioxide, excuse me. So
science.
But I think it's low key crazy that like people like will literally like you can get arrested for weed stuff, but then like alcohol is like okay, but people actually die from alcohol.
Like you could just like dial it back to like prohibition. That's what it's easier. It's a lot easier for them to tax them. Like it's just at the base of it, it's a lot easier for them to tax something that you can't just grow in your backyard inside your house. Like can't just give some to your friends and you can't just have millions of crops on it. It's harder to make alcohol. So, it was a time where alcohol was illegal. That's where moonshine came from.
Right.
Cannabis was legal. But, there was racial discrepancies around that, where they was attaching cannabis to black people, around the early 1920s. It made it easier for them to ban cannabis and, re-allow alcohol in. And, once they were seeing the way profits were moving, they just kind of kept that going. So now we're here today where people are profiting. That's why they won't let us out of jail, let people out of jail for the cannabis. Because it's like they're making the bread on the other side. They got to make their bread somehow. They can't, we're not paying the taxes for it. People are still getting their weed underground and backdoor. So it's like once that culture actually comes over, then and they figure out how to replace those people in jail, then we may get them to fold for letting those people out for the war on drugs. But other than that, I don't see them letting go of their profit, and that's the main problem.
I was talking to somebody who was like, they're born in like the 70s, and then I was like, and literally like they knew my mom. And my mom, she like literally like eats like edibles and stuff. So like she already is very in tune with, just weed and stuff and cannabis, oils and all that. And he was like, oh, well, getting high is bad, da 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 da. The whole time, like he even said like, oh yeah, he used to drink a lot.
Yeah.
He did acid, he did shroom. I'm like, bro. I'm looking at him like, bro, like literally you could have like died off these things. Like if you smoke an eighth, you're not finna die. Like, literally, you're just gonna feel really good. Like, you know what I mean?
That's not necessarily true, though, because everybody's body is different. Like, it does come from nature, and then we luckily have these, we have an endocannabinoid system where we actually make some of those same sort of molecules that we get from weed that make us feel good, that make us feel calm, that make us feel relaxed, that make us feel hungry, that give us cotton mouth. All of that exists already within our bodies. But for some people, depending on your body's chemistry, like what your base is and like whatever it is that's in that plant, it can have a totally different effect. I went to the ER because I thought I was going to have a heart attack after, and this is like 10 years of, you know, like having this relationship with weed. And I went to the ER. I paid for that trip. I paid for that anxiety trip, literally, because I didn't know what else to do. I knew that I wasn't going to die, but I was like, I might have a heart attack. So it is safe for the most part. It's safer than other substances. But I think back to the conversation about there's so many different drugs out there, and I feel like it's our responsibility as this current generation, yes, to educate our, you know, older generations about what different substances are, but also, like, we don't know what it was like to be, you know, older than we are. I'm thank God I'm in this generation, because other generations had it way worse, way worse.
Yeah, because that's what I really think is really the negative connotation that comes to cannabis is like people don't, outside of them like not knowing what terpenes or things that they, you know, tend to like I like linalool and limonene. Like, you know, limonene is like really like the lemony, like when you smell like lemons and shit on weed, and then like linalool is like lavender and shit, like, you know, that's heavy and runts, you know, that type of shit. So it's like, I know I like my weed to calm me down because I be anxious and things like that. But then you have other excited, you have terps that excite you, like myrcene and things like that, that if I get that in my weed, I'm damn near taking that back to the store. Like, I'm cool. Like, you know, it's anything like Jack Harry and shit, fucking hate it. And it's like, you know, it's just not really for me. But, you know, it's other people that, you know, that be real chill, that want something that'll heighten, you know, spark their cerebral, you know, something that makes them a little more attentive, a little more hyper. And then again, I want something that makes me a little more calm. And that's just on the THC side of weed. You know, we still not even talking about CBD, where it's not as psychoactive, you know. So it's like, again, it's just really just ignorance around it. And then, you know, that's outside of doses. Like, you know, we can sit here and smoke we can sit here and smoke a tray, but, you know, somebody else, you know, they may need, you know, they may have them a little 0.5, or like even the dog walker little mini.
The pre-cones.
Yeah, the pre-cones. Yeah, those are like, it's a half-eighth split between 5 of them. You know, that's like 0.3 a joint. You know, that's like what some people need, you know, to at least come on this curve of cannabis. Because, again, we have to remember, we've been ingesting this for years. And, like, we didn't have access to a lot of the knowledge and a lot of the science that's out here. We was just, you know, shooting it blind. But that's where I feel like that common denominator is where all of us are coming from. It's just that you don't, like, we've all made it to the other side of going through the dangers of cannabis. And, you know, we all feel like I'll say I'm a better person from going through, you know, experiencing cannabis and like learning how to like deal with it, and, you know, shit, just the uses of it, and, you know, the potential dangers of it. You know, you can always have too much of a good thing, you know, so
but also, let's not even confuse, like, some people low key will confuse they'll have some cannabis, you know, weed, but whole time it's K2. like, you feel me? Like, and it's really easy to confuse that, because I definitely had somebody do K2, and like, they didn't know, and that definitely was the worst day of their life. You feel me? And they were like, "Oh, I'm never gonna smoke again." But then, like, 2 years later, I'm like, "Okay, this is not K2. I don't know who you were smoking with, but like, this is not K2." And they were like, "Oh, this is way better." Because, like, bro, K2 had like so many different side effects for different people. She said she went blind for like 2 hours. I'm like, how you go blind? Like, what? Like, of course, if like somebody was like thinking about weed in that term, like, oh, it might look like K2, something might happen to me, then yeah, I can see why they might think it's bad. But it's like that at the same time, that's like, who you trusting? Like, who was that? Like, who gave you that and was like lying to you about it? So like, that's why I think like the government should literally get into it, just because it's like people literally will set you up for sabotage. And
the
then
government is into it though, and they've sabotaged us.
Oh yeah, whole time. It's a double negative. Yeah, right. It's like, it's a double negative. Like, it's really a double negative, because like sometimes, you know, you could do it and then it's not safe. Where it's like, you know, you're doing it and don't even know who this is. Like, so it's like, yeah, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, man, it's a big double negative, especially for those people in jail right now that are like, or in prison for like literally possession of cannabis.
I think like the relationship with like how we associate weed has definitely changed. Like, and I think it's changed like obviously throughout our lifetime, but like even within the past like 5 years, I would say like I feel like it went from like being like, ooh, like I don't know if like I necessarily want to tell like someone like that I don't like a coworker that like I smoke or anything, to like now people over here like having weed bars and like, you know what I'm saying, everyone's on TikTok, like, you know what I'm saying, all these, like I feel like this industry's been, you know what I'm saying, taken over by people who didn't necessarily start, you know what I'm saying, like were involved in the process of like, you know what I'm saying, like actually using weed, whether it's like, you know what I'm saying, like personal use or selling or anything like that, and dealt with the consequences of that and are serving time for that. And I just think it's interesting though, because like, you know, like we're sitting here, right? We're able to have like a whole conversation about weed, but there's people who are doing time still. And at the same time, like we also got people who are, you know, have whole dispensaries and none of them are like owned by Black or brown people in the city. And yet we still got people serving time. You know what I'm saying? And people, even when they're not serving time, like they're out, but they still got to like, you know, be careful of not getting caught up with anything again, or if it's, you know, it's back to serving, you know what I'm saying? So I would say, you know, how do you guys feel personally, like having seen, like, I feel like we all kind of talked about growing up, like, you know, we definitely had a much more negative, you know, association to it. And now it feels like it's like just more relaxed, like people can talk about it like more casually. But as it is getting like popular now and how that's changed, like, how do you guys personally feel about that?
We kind of spoke on it like off camera, but like I think it's just gonna take some time for the culture to come around. We like, you know, if we can keep it frank, I think that shit bogus. But you know, at the end of the day, you know, big business is going to find their curve, and you know, we have to find some type of compromise for us to at least get our foot in the door on like, you know, rectification on people that have literally cultivated like what's going on out here. Like we got a lot of like, again, you know, the culture of like, just to keep it frank again, like, why can these people line up and get around the block on the dispensaries and things like that? You could never have that in the hood. Like, you still to this day can't have that in the hood. And, you know, but these people are allowed to not only charge 60 and 8, but put $30 worth of taxes on it. And it's like, that being said, like, they're still going to find their money and they're still going to find a way to funnel it back in the system. But the whole issue of letting those people free is they have to replace those people in jail. You know, if we're going to keep it frank and, you know, just going to keep it the prison industrial complex, we understand that that's a business. We're going to understand that they lose money if they free these people, if we actually give them their rights and things like that, you know. So once they figure out where they're going to be, once they figure out where they're going to find these people to put back, to replace in these jails and things like that, like whatever law they're going to figure out how to like, you know, super finesse again to just, you know, inflict on lower impoverished people, then I don't see them like giving us any room or any go on that law at all. You know, like not that law, but the people that have taken L's from said laws. So, but you know,
man, you basically just set the Bible right there, bro. Like literally, the government is bogus. Like they need to stop playing. At this point, it's just like, bro, we're getting to a point where everybody's being more mature about it. Everybody's being more aware of it. Everybody's being just more smart. Like, we're just being smarter about everything, not just cannabis, but everything. So it's like, we know the difference between something that's like, no, and then something that's like, all right, this is okay for literally anybody. Like, it just all depends on the type of person you are. Like you said, like, you know, somebody, you know, might trip over, you know, having a 0.3 or something, like it start tweaking, but then that's them just figuring out themselves.
We can sit here and talk about like the positive effects and the healing and like how powerful of a medicine and plant and like, you know what I'm saying, the ways in which it's really helped us individually, but also like, you know, even people who, you know, in the past maybe wouldn't like want to try it and realize like, oh my God, there's so many ways to get involved. Like you may not even have to smoke the plant. Like, you know, there's oils, there's different ways in which so many people can be, you know, using weed as a healing source, you know, but at the same time, you know, while all that is still true and like, we're obviously going to have a conversation about that because like, that's real. Like it is healing and it is like a tool that can help has helped so many people, is helping so many people. At the same time though, there are people doing real time and there are people who You know what I'm saying? And that's all a part of it. And I don't think that it's not like we can only have like an uplifting conversation about it. I think we have to have like a well-rounded, like real ass conversation about it. Like,
I think it would be really irresponsible and only perpetuate harm on people if we don't talk about the darkness of cannabis, not as a plant, but as the industry and the history of the war on drugs. It's still a present circumstance. People are, yes, they're still in prison because of this plant. And then when people get out, you know, there's so many blockages too. Once, when you get out, you know, like it blocks you from getting a good job. It blocks you from getting good health. It blocks you from damn near having a life, you know?
Like, personally, I feel like, and I also like grew up where like weed has such a negative, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, they thought of people who like smoked weed as like, consume weed as like they were on some like heavy shit, like some super like addictive, and it's all misinformation, right? And it's like not just misinformation, but obviously like people benefit out of like what we don't know, and like, you know, like putting all these stereotypes and all these like just, you know what I'm saying, things that are out to get us. So like I feel like even like my introduction into weed was definitely like, oh shit, like, oh, you know what I'm saying? Like, I was like, what am I doing? You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, I hope no one ever finds out. You know what I'm saying? And then once you're on the other side of that, you know what I'm saying? And I think it's just so wild to me how like just the misconceptions of weed in general. And like as I've like gotten older, like personally, like, you know, I struggle with, you know, like depression and anxiety, and I feel like, man, sometimes like you be trying to like do life like, you know what I'm saying, like
I know exactly
solo, and it's like it's bad, and it's just crazy how much like it really you can like just center, like can come back to centering. You're like, okay, like you said, you know, like, you know, you think fast and you got ABC, but like all of a sudden it's like, okay, true, let me just start with this. You know,
everything's better with a bag of weed.
You know, but
Again, like I was saying earlier, it's like a compromise. It's a compromise thing. We want to eventually have the culture where people are, where the marginalized people who are pushed this culture forward are getting their rewards for it. And like we have to like do some type of voting and meeting in the middle and agreeing, because like on the legal side, I would want this to be as free as possible, but big bucks is what's pushing legal lobbying in our country. So it's like, you know, it's gonna be hard for us to get unless we really get enough engine behind this fight, it's gonna be hard to tell motherfuckers we can't have the Cresco lounge, you know, to get these other lounges and things like that. You know, like I feel like it's bullshit that we can't do that, but like that's what's going on in our country, just to keep it flat, you know.
Yeah.
Keep it a buck whole time.
That's what I'm saying. That's why
keeping it buck, but also like I feel like it's still our responsibility, even if they don't. Making noise though,
exactly.
Having the pushback, that's still important, you know, because history is gonna remember, like people's history is gonna remember the people. But I think it's still important for us to do what we can, you know.
Of course. Yeah, people got to make it known, that, again, you know, just to push the culture forward. That's how we got here in the first place.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, it was just, you know, speaking on both sides of the coin, but at the end of the day, like, again, it's so much to the conversation that you can't really touch on all the points and make. I can't make full points like that.
we can make a series just on Cannabis, you know what I'm saying?
You know,
literally.
But so like if there's something though that, you know, you would want people to take away, and then, you know, it doesn't have to necessarily be like fun fact about weed, you know, but just like on your own personal take, like, you know, what's something that you guys would want people to take from this conversation?
take your time, but be open-minded. Just like everything else, like, people feel like they can't teach an old dog new tricks, but, you know, just give yourself time to understand that there's always something out here that you don't know about. And there's always something out here that's can expand your mind as a human being, you know. So that's just if you treat the culture of cannabis that way, you will find something that, you know, will benefit. Like, there's even people that don't use cannabis, you know, that they don't use literally cannabis, you know, people that attach to CBD and other, you know, cannabinoids and things like that they tend to chase. So there's a lot of knowledge and a lot for you to learn. There's a way for you to get into it if you're open-minded enough to expand as a human being, period.
Weed saved my life. Let it save you. Period. Like, low key, like, if I told you, like, what happened in my life, literally saved my life. Literally, you should go try it out yourself, man. Like, I don't know. Like, man, it's kind of cool sometimes, man. You know, we can have a good conversation. Sometimes I think, low key, we mess around and stop, racism. G, if I just get high and, hey, man, I don't know why you don't like me, bro, but you cool. Sometimes you cool, too. I don't even know why I didn't like you, bro. Exactly. We both high and just nice and happy. All right. After you high, you might not like me again, but, hey, at least we got to that point, you feel me? We can break some barriers with this, man. Let's get it done. Done.
Yeah, if you haven't tried weed and you're curious about it, I would say go slow and go low. Don't just take a dive in. If you don't know how to swim, you don't just go and dive into the deepest part of the pool. You dip your toe.
I learned that the hard way.
Yeah.
I will drown at Disney World.
And to that point, like what is okay for me might not be okay for you. How much it takes for you to get high or to feel how you want to feel is it can look totally different. So we have the privilege to now be able to experiment. You can go to a dispensary if you're 21, but if you can go to dispensary, find a local weed person and support a local grow, support somebody who is growing in their garage, in their backyard as a side hustle, support that person, support your friend or your friend's friend that like makes their own oils, makes their own edibles or whatever. There are so many people out there that, are doing it, with their own resources, their own time, and they're actually putting love into this plant, into this edible or whatever it is. So support your local weed person, and try something new if you're smoking. And if you're already an avid consumer and you want to get connected deeper into advocating, not just for self, but advocating for others, especially for folks who have been most impacted, please take the initiative and look up organizations like the Coalition, like Chicago NORML, that are doing important work around the cannabis industry.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. Thank you, team. Shit talks. Let's go. Let's go.
Everything's better with a bag of weed.
Tell me I gotta go a different way. Please, Lord, don't take me away. Please, Lord, don't. Didn't know my greatest threat is a cop that started today. All type of different cops, like all type of different ops. I see something similar, won't trust a cop or a op. R.I.P. Scammy. Went to visit where he passed away, while I was getting handcuffed and detained. Almost got taken away. If you're a good cop, working with a dirty cop, well, you're no better than them. You're here to serve us, not to harm us, and protect from the evils out there. Who's gonna stop y'all when y'all are committing the sin? I'm leaving in God's hands. Who would've thought my skin would get me killed? Damn, who would've thought that I made it? All the odds I beat with race and appearance, who could really contain me? The more we grow, the more we hurtin' them, bro. Cause we've been oppressed for generations. My people are tired of just being tired. You fight for your right and your heart's desire. Don't need a lie and I don't need to cry. Raise up your fist, we got the power. Working together, take down the lion. All that I see, my mind is flying. You say that you're helping, I know you're lying. Cause all our communities starve and cry. Bro, cause they starve and cry, yeah.